Further conversation was interrupted by the return of Mrs. Partington. She bore a tray on which was a plate of milk chocolate digestive biscuits, 4 beakers, and a large jug. She placed the tray on the coffee table and held up the jug.
Grapefruit crush. It works wonders for hemorrhoids.
At this they heard a short, sharp, dry cough. They turned. In the glum recesses of a deep armchair they saw a very small, aged man. He had large, pink, transparent ears. He was toothless. He wore a dove-grey Anthony Eden hat and brown boots.
This is Mr. Roberts. He used to do for me, didn't you, Mr. Roberts?
That's right.
He's Welsh, is Mr. Roberts. You're Welsh, aren't you, Mr. Roberts?
That's right.
I can't abide the Welsh. They're so deceitful, aren't they? They're so untrustworthy and mendacious. And they've a tendency to smell a bit peculiar in the summer. Am I right? I am. That's why I like living on this estate, you see. We're all northerners here, bar Mr. Titterington from number 6. The Welsh aren't allowed in unless they've come to tune the piano. I've got a special dispensation for Mr. Roberts on the grounds that it's a shortcut to the foot hospital.
Thin slivers of bleak mountain rain sneered against the window panes of the front parlour. Gulls flustered the breeze. The mobile library van backfired mournfully.
He used to be a farmer many moons ago, did Mr. Roberts, didn't you, Mr. Roberts?
That's right.
He was going to sell his land so they could build bungalows on it. Typical of the Welsh, isn't it? No sense of national heritage, no regard for their history. They'll do anything for money, am I right? I am. I wouldn't allow it. I put my foot down, didn't I, Mr. Roberts?
That's right.
I said to him, you go cluttering up your land with bungalows and what'll happen to me? Simple. The price of my bungalow will drop by 15% immediate, overnight. They don't think of considerations like that, don't the Welsh? They're too busy lining their pockets and complaining about the television reception from Granada TV.
Yes, but...
Don't you yes but me. You've already overstayed your welcome by 35.5 minutes. You can give Mr. Roberts a lift home in your car. And think on Carter.
What?
If he offers you a cup of tea, tell him you can't risk it.
Why?
Because they put things in the water, do the Welsh.
Why?
To prevent the sheep from having too many fillings in their teeth, and to stop people of Carter's age indulging in too much hanky-panky. Or is it vice versa?
They drove Mr. Roberts home. Tangle of crooked country lane, weasel snout and snuffle of fox, flimsy moths and chirr of white throat in nettled thickets. The farm greeted them with a lopsided, gummy grin. Hunched into the tired old hill, its lonely windows peered bemused at neglected pastures and dung-flanked black cattle cropping among the docks.
Do you want to come in for a cup of tea?
No, Ta.
I always put strong whiskey in my tea.
You're on.
An aged collie hobbled towards them, cartwheeling its tail and pulling back its mottled lips. Uncle Mort bent down to stroke it.
There's a good dog. What do you call it?
I don't know. It's so old I've forgotten its name.
They drank weak tea and strong whiskey in the kitchen. The stone flags purred at their feet. The oak mellow dresser nodded peacefully in the oil lamp's dusk-sodden glow. Uncle Mort prodded Mr. Roberts in the ribs with the tip of his walking stick and said,
What's it like, being Welsh?
I don't know. I'm so old I've forgotten.
The whiskey flowed. The oil lamp sputtered. Owls hiccuped. Mr. Roberts fell asleep with a dribble on his chin.
We'd best stop the night, Carter.
Why?
Because I am too inebriated by overindulgence in drunkenness to fulfil my responsibilities to society as a fit and proper passenger in a motorised motor vehicle.
They found a bedroom cluttered by silence. They took off their shoes and climbed into bed. Instantly, they fell asleep. The roar of the whiskey, its flicker and its flare. The seep of the damp, its chill and its clam. They awoke with a start. The bed was shaking. The bed was throbbing. The bed was groaning. They sat bolt upright. Curled up on the foot of the bed, the aged collie was scratching its chin. It turned its head to them, pumped its tail twice, and then rolled onto its back and fell asleep.
That's how your Auntie Edna used to sleep when we was married.
With her legs in the air?
No, at the foot of the bed.
An hour later, they were awoken once more by the sound of groaning and grunting. Once more they sat up. Curled up on the foot of the bed was Mr. Roberts. He had his nightshirt tucked into his brown boots, and he was scratching his crutch. He turned his head to them, smiled, rolled over onto his back, and fell asleep.
Rum, this, isn't it?
Aye.
Have you ever slept four in a bed before?
Aye. With your Auntie Edna, her mother, and her mother's sister.
What was it like?
I don't know. I'm so old I've forgotten. Well, that's my story, any road.
In Croeso to Whatsisname, you heard Stephen Thorne as Uncle Mort, Sam Kelly as Carter Brandon, and Liz Golding as Pat and the barmaid. Mrs. Partington was played by June Barry, and Mr. Roberts by Howell Evans. The narrator was Christian Rotzka. Uncle Mort's Celtic Fringe was written by Peter Tinniswood and produced in Bristol by Pete Atkin.